my name is Lisa and welcome to another episode of I Am Just Lisa. And welcome back for those who have seen other episodes before. I want to thank you for joining me. I am on a journey to becoming the woman of my wildest dreams. And I love that because, I don't know, I like the way it sounds. And for me, it keeps me in a mindset of thinking beyond even what I can imagine. I can't become the woman of my wildest dreams just by doing the same stuff I've been doing the same stuff that I am doing over and over again. I am making changes and I am allowing those changes to help me to grow. I have been doing this for almost 10 years now. And I'm at a place in my life and in this journey where I know it's time to share. I want to be for someone out there what I wish I had almost 10 years ago when I was starting off. But even still, I'm thankful for this journey, and I am happy to say that I can be here to share with you my aha moments, my life lessons, and the things that I have learned along the way, things that I am learning now that are life-changing. So, if you haven't already, join me on this journey by liking, sharing if you'd like to. I mean, I understand some people don't like to share. They like to keep, stuff to themselves, and that may be what you need right now. But please definitely subscribe so that you can come back and, I'm looking forward to seeing who I become in the future, but I'm also looking forward to hearing your testimonies as well, because I know that they will come. I think about you all the time, and I'm just glad that I can be here to share in my journey. I am a big cheerleader of learning from other people's lessons, and I have no problem sharing mine so that you can learn and I don't know, maybe help somebody else, or it helps you, or I don't know what will come of this. All I know is that I'm here doing what I know I'm supposed to do. So without further ado, no more babbling on. I'm just going to get right on into this topic. Okay. All right. So I got my notes. I got me a notebook. Just so that I can, stay on track, and because it's a lot of information. So last week we talked about depression and bad days, and I kind of touched on depression. It was more like just labeling that. I think some of us have been or are depressed and we don't know it. Now, looking in hindsight, I can see clearly that there were times when I was just in survival mode, and I was depressed, and I was unmotivated, and I just did not feel, I was in a place that I didn't want to be in. And I knew that it was time to start making changes. So yeah, depression is real. I think there is, for some people, they may not know that there is a difference between clinical depression and just a day-to-day depression, or that feeling stuck in a rut. And those are two different things. That clinical depression is something that I believe that actually I can't really diagnose him. You know, I made a reference to Robin Williams last week, and I even looked up, you know, did Robin Williams have a therapist, and like, who was there, anyone there to help him work through his depression? I mean, this is a man who always wore that mask, always wore that smile, always made people laugh. But like, if you really, like, knowing what you know now, or, you know, if you don't know and you look it up, and then you go back and look at Robin Williams and how he operated, like, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see that depression lingering there behind the smile and behind the jokes, you know, that mask that he wore to make other people comfortable with who he was and what he was dealing with on a daily basis, you know, because I mean, we hear it, the term, I've even said it, party pooper. You know, I'm not trying to be no party pooper, and I don't want nobody pooping all over my party. But reality is, you know, there are some people out there who are stuck and they don't know how to get out of it. And some of that may require some clinical work, you know, maybe a therapist or, you know, medication. But for the average person, that is not the case. For me, that was not the case. And so what I am doing today is I'm speaking to whoever out there who is currently in that place that I was in, where I was stuck in those ruts. What to do if you don't have a therapist? What to do if you don't have someone that you can talk to, you know, process your feelings, you know, because now more than ever, having a therapist has become that, you know, normal luxury thing. You know, do you have a therapist? I got a therapist. You know, I went on such and such, BetterHelp, and all of those, and let's normalize therapy in our lives, you know, because mental health is important. And that is true. Mental health is very important. It's vital to our existence, just like physical health is, because honestly, your mental health can affect your physical. There have been times when I was depressed and I felt it physically, but let's be honest, therapists are not free for some people. You know, we can't, it's not always available through our insurance. And then some people are just not comfortable with going to a therapist. So, but that doesn't mean that, you know, you are just stuck and left to deal with whatever it is that you're dealing with. You know, that is not the case. There are solutions. There are things that you can do. And there was a time in my life when I wanted to see a therapist. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. But I then turned to God. I invited God into my process. And let me tell you, I am not where I am today because I did it all by myself. Okay? So, just a disclaimer, not sorry about it at all. Okay? I talk about God over here because God is the one who has helped me through so many of my ups and downs and twists and turns. But I'm going to share with you how I process things. I'm going to share with you the way I did things so that you can see a different perspective, because it's not what, you know, it's not churchy over here, okay? Spiritual, yes. Churchy, no. No shade to the churchy. We just ain't doing that over here, okay? But moving on. The purpose of a therapist. That is one of the key things. If you want to start a journey and you don't have a therapist, first of all, let's look at what is the purpose of a therapist. So I looked it up. The purpose of a therapist is to help you work through things that affect your mental health. Find underlying issues you may have by talking about them out loud. Develop tools that will help you deal with stuff in the future. Getting to the real root of the problem and seeing the real issues that you are ignoring. If you keep those things in mind, that is a good start for what to do. Even if you are going to see a therapist, it's good to know what the purpose of the therapist is, so that when you go, you're not just sitting there wasting your time. Because I'm gonna be honest, folks out here wasting folks' time, okay? And I am not for that. Okay. If you're going to get a therapist, know why you're there. Because if not, they will happily, not all of them, but some, and I have heard some stories, okay, who will happily take your money week after week and let you sit on a chair or whatever, or sit at their computer via Zoom and talk with no resolutions, no growth behind it. Nah. Now listen, there are some that are really good, but it's good to know what you're there for first. All right. The reality is not everyone has access or is ready to see a therapist. So I'm going to share with you the 7 steps that I have used to help me process issues without a therapist. And like I said, I have actually used these, and I have found myself in a much better place. And I've used these steps multiple times to help me to get stuck out of those different ruts. Okay. I'm going to give you a disclaimer. All right. I made sure I put it in my notes so I would not forget. Okay. Do not use this in place of therapy in extreme cases of trauma. Do not use this video and the tools here to fire your therapist. If you don't like the one you got, remember, you are still a customer. Find you another one. However, I don't want nobody in the comments saying that Lisa done said, and nope, don't be using me to fire nobody. Do not use this in place of severe mental illness, or, you know, if you really need that help, go get the help that you need. There are systems in place where if you are suffering from a mental illness or severe trauma, that you can have those services. Okay, so seek out those services. But here are the things that I've done. Okay, number 1, have a meeting place and time with no interference, where You can cry. You can be mad. You can talk out loud. You can say your piece. You can speak your mind. You can do all of that without somebody hearing and being all up in their feelings about how you feeling. Okay? One thing that I have said to myself, or I decided years ago, if somebody feeling some type of way about who I am or how I do things, if I have apologized and those feelings are still lingering, that becomes a personal problem. Okay? Some things warrants an apology. Some things we hold on to, okay? Or we process them internally, and we just need a place, a safe place to let it out, to relive the moment so that we can move forward, okay? Number 2, invite God into your conversation, okay? Like I said, we ain't over here doing things by ourselves, okay? We are not alone. You are not alone in this, okay? Invite God into the conversation. And keep in mind, there is not a word in your vocabulary that God cannot handle, okay? There is not a word in your vocabulary that God cannot handle. He hears them when you say them anyway. Whether you in private, in your mind, or out loud in the street, God hears them. When you are having a conversation with God and you are talking about being stuck in your rut, be open and honest. That's not for God. That is for you. Because then you allow an opening for God to be honest with you. Sometimes we don't hear the truth because we don't want to. Okay? We don't have the insight that we need because we don't want to hear it. Okay? If you're ready to hear it, be open and honest with whatever it is, whatever is going on with you. Okay? This is specifically for like if you're stuck in a rut as far as like reliving things over and over and over again. Or even if you're feeling some type of way, whether it is depression or anxiety or whatever it is, if you are feeling it over and over again and it is because of something specific that may have happened, go over that thing again. But this time with intentionality, okay? If that is a word. Be intentional this time when you are going over that particular event or even the way you're feeling. If you got something going on or your life is just not the way you want it to be, go over it. Think about it. Like really think from a perspective of, I want to see the things that I'm not seeing. Okay? The next thing you do is to seek clarity and be honest. And like I said before, the reason why if we're stuck in a rut that we can't get out of it is because there is a truth there that we are not trying to hear. We're not trying to admit to it. We don't like it. It's ugly. It is painful. We might have to hold ourselves accountable for some things, you know. But if you want to get out of this, you got to be honest. You have to seek that clarity and that truth. Because if you are sitting in front of a good therapist, that's what's going to happen. You may leave a therapy session crying. You may leave a therapy session pissed off. You may think This person don't know what they're talking about. But if you're really honest with yourself, they are the outsider looking in. The reason we get stuck in these ruts is because there are some things that we are doing, or we are choosing to ignore, that does not serve us. Okay? And your body may be feeling it, even though you yourself may be trying to ignore it. Okay? So seek clarity and be honest. Acknowledge where you are placing blame. If you're blaming somebody, even if your actions say you're blaming somebody, you lashing out at some other folks, acknowledge where you are placing blame for something that may have happened to you, or even the situation you are in at that time. Okay? Is it your mama? Is it your daddy? Is it you? Is it Karen? Is it Sharon? Is it the woman at the grocery store? Is it God? Acknowledge that. Okay? And then seek strategies that will help you moving forward. Okay? If you're not honest with yourself, then you're not going to be willing to hear or hear what strategies you can use moving forward. And these things are what we fill our toolbox with to help us to deal with issues in the future. Okay? And then acknowledge when you do need professional help. Okay? If you need professional help, acknowledge that. Okay? But remember this. You stewing in your issues, you being in that rut, more times than not, is a choice. Okay? And I am saying this from a place of honesty, because I have chosen to stew. I have chosen to be stuck in ruts. And there have been times when somebody may have said something to me I didn't like. Somebody may have pissed me off. But I go back and I take that time to process what happened. And then I ask, is it true? Is what they're saying true? If it's not, then you move forward with setting boundaries. And like, be honest though. Okay? Because some of us will say, well, that's not true, when it really is true. Okay? I think about I cannot remember her name right now. It's a comedian, but she said, I'm gonna find out her name and I'm gonna put it like right there. Okay. But it was a comedian and she is on the talk. Gosh, I'm looking at her face, but I can't say her name yet. Okay. But anyway, but she told her testimony of how, she was supposed to be getting on a group call with some other comedians, and they didn't know, like when she got to the phone, they didn't know that she was on mute. And they were talking about her. And she said instead of her sitting there being pissed off, she started taking notes of what they're saying. Because some people say stuff that may be shady. The way they saying it, or they talking about you behind your back or whatever, is shady. But guess what? What did she do that day? She made her enemies her footstool. Okay? Those words that were spoken there, she took those notes and she started looking at herself and saying, is this true? Is this true? Is that true? And she tweaked, she critiqued, she made the necessary changes that she needed to make in order to grow. And guess what she did? And she is now on a bigger platform because of that. Okay? Make your enemies your footstool. And when I say enemies, I'm not talking about the people you deal with, somebody who done hurt your feelings and all of that stuff. I'm talking about these circumstances that keep you stuck. Let's get out of that, okay? Let's be honest. All right? And if you are able to, and you feel comfortable enough, ask somebody, hey, I need you to be completely honest with me. Is this ... true? Be completely honest. I'm not going to be upset if it is true. And either way, seek that honesty. But a lot of times, if you are tired of being where you are, you know the answer. You don't have to ask anybody. Okay? The truth is the truth. But then you use that as your starting point for your growth. Okay? I know because I've done it. And I do it all the time. Let somebody criticize me. I remember what she said. And I asked God, Lord, help me to see if there's something that I'm not seeing. Because some people may say stuff out of frustration. Some people may be talking about you. But yes, they shady. And they're going to have to answer for whatever shadiness they living in. Or doing what they doing or whatever. But if you take responsibility for your own stuff, if you acknowledge, some of us tired of being taken advantage of. Well, guess what? Why are you being taken advantage of? Let's process that. Let's process that. Go over a situation where you were taken advantage of. What are some things that you can do so that you won't be taken advantage of anymore? You know, there are some of us who will pop off in the grocery store, buy. But then you leave feeling like trash because somebody done, set you off and you done acted a fool, and now it's on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. Guess what? What are your triggers? Let's process that. What are your triggers? So that you're not sitting on ready every time something happens, So you're not living with the anger. Walking away from folks is not a weakness. Hello? It's not a weakness. Sometimes you have to for your own mental health. Setting boundaries is not a weakness. But these are the tools that we have to learn so that we're not sitting up, resentful at life because of the choices that we made, because of the boundaries that we didn't set up. Because a lot of times, that's where the root is. We not letting go of stuff. We are not setting our boundaries. We are not speaking our minds. We are not, we're holding stuff in. We're holding on to anger. We're holding on to grief. We are holding on to somebody else's experience and living in fear because of what happened to somebody else. That is not your life. That is their life. But you may have a fear of that becoming your life. And it's time to process. All right? If this is a fear of mine, what are some things that I can do to learn from that? What are some things that I can do to get past that fear? All right? So, simply put, if this is you, if this applies to you, I want to encourage you to try this. This is not something that I did a long time ago and it worked, and now I am a much better person for it. I use these steps on a regular basis. And that whole part, number 7, acknowledge when you do need professional help. Some of us have bought into that idea that that step needs to go first. Sometimes that needs to be the last step. That's why I put it at number 7. That's why I put it at number 7. Because sometimes there are things that we are capable of getting past, and we automatically assume that we can't. But you can, okay? You can get past these things. You can grow from your lessons. And you don't have to always run out and get a therapist. We're not trying to preach codependency over here either, okay? It is a tool. But guess what? The same information that a therapist has, you have access to that too. You have access to that information too. The same techniques that they go over with their clients, you can go over those same techniques too. But the thing is, sometimes we do need professional help because we are in a place where we are not able to objectively see our situation. That's why I said you go over those other steps first. And if you are having a hard time being objective and open and honest, and I'm telling you, okay, you might be embarrassed by what you see, but guess what? You are in a safe place. All right, because you have set it up that way. You're not processing this in front of a whole bunch of folks. Because let me tell you too, what you speak out loud, you may trust somebody to hold on to it, but unless there is a legal contract saying they are not to speak to someone else about your information, they may speak to someone else about your information. All right. So I say all of that to say, just let's grow. Okay. Let's grow and be open to it. All right. I hope this message has been helpful to you. I hope that, even if this is something that you share with someone else, that's what I'm here for. All right. And I'm not telling you anything that I have not done myself or I'm not doing myself. Okay. So yeah. That's all I got for you for today. Please be sure to come back next week because I have more. Of course I have more. I'm just over here living life and learning, and I expect to have a learning experience on a regular basis. And my goodness, I have had some learning experiences. All right. And I'm just here to share them with you because I want you to know that you don't have to do this by yourself. Even if it's just the support of watching this video, you are not by yourself. All right. So you have a good one, and I will see you next time. All right. Bye.